Welcome back to episode 3 of the Tech Lounge. This is Brian from Tech City, joined by Kev Showdown. How you doing, Kev?
I'm doing good, Brian. How about you, man?
I'm pretty good. Did you like that name, Kev Showdown?
Yeah, maybe we'll give that one a miss the next time.
Well, it just matches everything. I don't know. Let us know in the audience. Do you like the name Kev Showdown?
Should we call you Brian City?
Yeah, Brian City. That's it.
Yeah, see?
Well, I guess a lot of people want to come to Brian City now, so because I got a Jar Jar mug. Oh yeah. So I hope you guys in the audience are doing really well. We've got a show for you guys today with not a lot of topics, but we're going to go in depth, and then we want to do a lot of community stuff today and just talk to you guys about things that you want to talk about. So hopefully the Q&A can be bigger than normal today. And with that being said, is there anything that happened in the last week? Anything special?
Nothing that I can imagine. Channel's just been humming along like normal. Been doing a bit more peripherals reviews since I've been doing so many GPUs. But yeah, it's all been pretty normal. How about you, man? I saw your $35 mechanical keyboard video.
Yeah, that thing was actually surprisingly good. When I first got it in, like, they didn't tell me the price. When I first got it in, I was like, oh, whoa, you guys are going to like ask $70 or $80 for this? I was like, that ain't going to be right. And then I like looked at the price, like, oh, $35, that changes everything. so I was actually pretty surprised with it. It was really cool. So for a $35 keyboard, it is really damn good. Other than that, you guys might notice, wearing the new shirt. Oh, yeah. I'm going to plug the shirt right now. Come on, man. Come on. There we go. If you guys want to get, there you go. Want to get the Truth Hurts shirt, hottest shirt out there in the tech community at the moment, self-proclaimed. go to shop.spreadshirt.com/techcity. Go get yourself the Truth Hurts, because it does hurt. So yeah, and we got a giveaway coming too, so there's lots going on this show, so you guys got to stay tuned. But unlocked, oh yeah, and also I'm still reeling from the Wendell hangover from last week, man. That show was just awesome. Like we just got so much positive feedback from the community. That show was really good. Like, we just had to make it the extra mile as well, because there's just so many things that we wanted to talk about with Wendell. You know, he just knows everything. So I was like, so the knowledge is just unbelievable. His general knowledge when it comes to tech is just astounding. Well, I guess that comes from him being an enthusiast for such a long time as well. You could tell he's been an enthusiast before. You know, me and you were whatever. You know, building our first PC. I think that's pretty clearly obvious there. He just knows a lot about everything. So we got the first topic here, though, the i3-7350K. Now, this is really interesting. This is the first time we're going to see an overclockable i3, besides the old school, i3-550 or whatnot, which you could overclock. But it's sort of like the first K i3 that we're seeing. And I like the product. I like where it stands, right? It's coming in around, I think, $170, $150 to $180. The price isn't confirmed yet, but I think it's going to hit the market pretty well, in that, you know, it's going to offer those sort of entry-level GPUs and the mid-range GPUs a good CPU to go hand in hand with, you know?
Yeah, I'm sort of a little bit dubious, because it's a dual-core processor, and if you remember back to the Pentium K, which technically you're still correct, it wasn't an i3, but Intel has released an unlocked dual-core processor, which was the nicknamed Pentium K. And what was the proper name? 3358.
Oh, the 3258.
3258.
Yeah, I love that thing, man. That was an awesome CPU, because the thing about that CPU was it could overclock on the cheap H81 motherboards. Now, that's something I'm going to raise, but I'll let you finish. You go.
Yeah. I was just going to say that it was really good. And I remember when I tested it originally, I really liked it. But being a dual core in this day and age is actually going to be quite a bit of a drawback, because a lot of these games now actually require, not all of them, and obviously no old games, but a lot of newer games now are requiring quad core CPUs, and that's an issue for some people out there. So yeah,
that is true. Like a lot of those games are like there are games, so not a lot, but there are games that are coming out there with the prerequisite of 4 cores. But something that I've noticed is a lot of games that are very popular. Like we're talking popular multiplayer titles, like Overwatch. They would never pull that, right? Because they know a lot of people are using dual cores. So any game that's going to be really, really popular, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to support a dual core. Hell, it could probably even run on a single core, you know? I think you can still run a Overwatch on a Pentium 4, just it runs terribly, that's all. But, you know, I think that prerequisite is not going to be there for really, really popular titles due to the fact that you've got, you know, a lot of third world Asian countries that have these real cheap computers and they want to capture that market as well. You know, because they want to sell their $2, you know, costumes on their characters in the game and stuff, and people can afford that, you see. So they know how to bring people in. Really popular multiplayer titles that nowadays are geared in such a way that you won't see 4 cores being a prerequisite if they want to have a really, really popular multiplayer title on their hands. So that's one point of the thing.
Yeah, that is true. And someone wrote it does have hyper threading, which is true. So that will sort of help, although I hope you guys understand that hyper-threading is to do with the threads, not to do with, it doesn't make a dual core into a quad core. It makes
it a glorified quad core, essentially.
It makes it, it's sort of like it's like a virtual sort of, I don't know how to put it really. That would be very simple for everyone to understand, the non-enthusiasts, I should say. But that is a good point, but it still might run into some issues. That's not going to mean that it's a full workaround. But I'm still impressed by this, and I think it will definitely have a market. And I think Intel sort of seeing that they can probably make a lot of money here. I think that's mainly probably the big factor of why they're going to release this overclockable i3.
Yeah, well, I mean, hyperthreading does do really good things, though. It does utilize more of the cores. That is proven. You know,
yeah, it is true. Yeah, I'm not against it. Yeah,
you know, and a lot of people put it down to around about a figure roughly that is 30%, and I tend to agree with that. If it's utilized properly, if hyperthreading is utilized in a perfect world, it's around about 30 to 40%, depending. So you know, that's a really good thing. So, you know, an i3 over a dual core is always a better thing because it's going to have those extra 2 threads. Also, at the same time, I mean, I wonder with this, the i3-7350K, right? The biggest thing that gets me worried is, of course, do you have to go out and buy a Z270 board? Because, you know, that's obviously, it's going to be expensive, much more expensive than a H210. Are they going to do H210 boards? Because I think with the entry-level overclocker, they should allow it to overclock on entry-level boards. But the thing that does make me a little bit happy is that they're bringing this thing out with a boost frequency of 4.2 gigahertz, which means, is there going to be any overclocking headroom anyway? That's one thing that I'm worried about.
I'd imagine there would be. Yeah, I'd imagine you'd probably get, I mean, that was the big thing with the 3258, and the one I tested, I got up to 4.9, and that thing was, out of the box, was clocked at 3.2. So, you know, you could take that thing to the moon. So, yeah, I think it'll be all right. Isn't KB Lake on, I don't know where I read it, although they haven't confirmed it, have they? I thought it was going to stay on the Z170.
There's new motherboards. There's definitely new motherboards being released.
Oh, okay,
I'm just not sure.
Okay.
I haven't. The socket should be the same, so it should work. I mean, the Kaby Lake CPU should work on a Z170 and whatnot. It's just they're bringing in new motherboards. I know that already. So they're doing.
Yeah, well, they did that with Broadwell either with X99. I mean, it would work in an old X99 board, but they brought out new ones because, you know, whatever, it's a new CPU. They may as well bring out new boards for it, and people will buy the new boards. But refresh boards, I should say. So I was thinking that was the case. They were just going to refresh the Z170s.
Yeah, no, well, essentially, yeah. I mean, that's what you're looking at, but you're giving it the title of Z270. So the thing is that high boost frequency of 4.2 gigahertz, that is pretty cool because
no, it is good. Yeah,
you will get to buy. Well, that's the thing. Is it going to be worth it to get that cheap motherboard as opposed to the more expensive motherboard? You know what I mean? That price, it depends on how well it overclocks on average. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you throw out a 4.9, how indicative is that of the general populace? You know, How indicative? I don't know. Like 4.9s, man, they're rare. I mean, I had a what was it? The Haswell's 4-core 4670K. Yeah, I got one of those, man. It went to 5 gigahertz. I could get that thing to 5 gigas on air, and I was just shocked because that was an initial release. I got the golden of golden samples with that CPU. You know, delitted it, whatnot, delitted it, did the whole 9 yards on it, but it was an amazing CPU, and I remember people just like raging at me. My CPU only goes to 4.4. How dare you? Like, how dare you have a CPU that goes to 4.8 and like whatnot? Like, it's not my problem.
I know. I mean, why are people complaining, man? They should get on Broadwell E. Like, you know, with Broadwell E, man, oh boy, there's not much headroom there on things like 6900Ks. I mean, like, you're lucky if you can get. I mean, I got mine to 4.3.
Yeah, they're bad, aren't they? They're pretty bad, aren't they?
That was it, and it didn't. And I put it down to 4.2 because it required so much extra voltage to get it to 4.3, and 4.4 was just impossible. So yeah, I've just set it to 4.2, but there's not a lot of headroom on Broadwell E, which probably didn't surprise a lot of people because the gaming chips are always the ones that will go to the moon, and the enthusiast chips generally don't go as high. But unless you get a real good one or something. But I mean, what did you get? What Broadwell E chips did you overclock?
I've got the 6800K. I got 6800K, and I got it to 4.3 gigahertz. Now this one goes to 4.4, so it's kind of like you're not getting a lot over a 5820K. I mean, there's going to be people out there like. I just got it because I got the motherboard sent in from MSI, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, well, I've got to match it with the CPU, otherwise we'll go out and get a 6800K. But I wouldn't have done that had I not got that motherboard, you know what I mean? So I don't recommend, if you've got a 5820K, there's no point upgrading to a 6800K, like absolutely no point at all. Yeah. So, you know, one thing that did surprise me though, the 6800K out of the box, the performance was really damn good. Like if you're one of those guys who does not like to overclock, hates overclocking, everything overclocking in general, but you still, you know, building a computer's easy enough, then that's when the 6800K kind of makes a bit of sense because you start to extract a lot of value out of that auto stuff. Like I was surprised because the Cinebench was like 1150 out of the box or something, and then when I overclocked it was like only 1311 or something. So you can see that there's not a big increase as opposed to 5820K. There was a massive increase. So that's something that I guess the 6800K could be good to say video editors who just they know how to build their own computers, they just don't know how to go into the BIOS and overclock and all that. So I guess that's a legit concern. That's where that.
And I mean, and I mean, you hit it dead on. For people like us, Broadwell E is very appealing because looking at the difference between what I was using before, Haswell, a 4770K at 4.4 gigahertz, I'm seeing very little difference in terms of gaming performance. It's almost very, very similar. To what I was getting with the 4770K, it's more that once I start doing productivity stuff, especially my rendering times when I'm editing videos, it makes a lot of sense then because my rendering times have been cut in half or better. So for people like us that are gamers plus, creators, YouTubers, we're doing video editing heavily, it makes sense to have that. But if you're just purely a gamer, unless you're doing something very specific, I would say you just want to stick to the K-series gaming CPUs. The enthusiast ones will just, it won't be worth it for you, I would imagine, to go up to them. So that's what I like about it, that they're good for those people out there. And there's a lot of people out there who do both productivity stuff and gaming stuff, and they want a CPU that does both extremely well.
Even then, even if you were a gamer, I would say try and pick up a cheap 5820K and a cheap X99 board. Because, you know, I've seen X99 boards go, you know, low 100s. I've seen the 5820Ks go now for around about 200 to 250.
Wow, where did you see that?
Well, I mean, Joker sold me his 5820K for like 250 shipped. Like, because he wanted to go out and get the 6800K, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll take that off your hands, no problems, man. So like, and like he was like, he was desperate. He just wanted to get rid of it. And that's what I mean. pick up a deal. Go get yourself a deal. If you can just sit there and know that it's an option, I would recommend it to a gamer any day of the week. I mean, the 5820K is a beast.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolute beast. And if you can not pay too much of a premium, it's going to give you that future proof. There's going to be a lot of future proof out there. So really good CPU. One of probably my favorite of the last few years from Intel would be the 5820K. Easy. So
yeah, I would tend to agree. I'd actually have to say that the one I had the most fun with would be the like I said, the G3258, the Pentium K as it was called.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that CPU, even though it's probably not the most practical now. Back when it came out, probably, what was that, like 2 years ago type thing, that was a lot of fun. And they were so cheap, man, that companies are just giving them to everybody, all the reviewers to go play with. So you're seeing everybody going crazy with them. And it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that CPU.
I just want to add a random midstream moment. Just wanted to say something random midstream. Signed up for the gym again, boys. Yeah.
Oh, nice, bro. Good job.
All right, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go today after we finish the stream too. Gonna go to the gym. Hell yeah. Get back on that. Hell yeah. I'm gonna be a life derogatory term. So I'm gonna be one of those guys. You meet those guys in real life and they're just so pumped up on life. That's what I want to be now. You know what I mean? Like you just see them and they're just life's flowing out of their body. I want to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
I remember back in uni, I'd meet some of these guys that just step out of the gym, they'd be rolling around on campus. Hey man, how you going? I'm like, why is this guy so enthusiastic? I realized he's just, he's just full of life. So I want to be that guy.
Just full of juice, man. So that's what they call it, juicing, when you get all pumped up.
Oh, no, it depends though.
Supplements and everything.
If you juice in that way, usually you have those real, I've seen people have, what they call roid rage or whatever, man. That's scary. You want to avoid that stuff at all costs. But we've got Nvidia with the 1080 Ti, 10 gigabytes of VRAM. This is the latest coming out of the rumor mill here, with the, I guess, a screen cap of the shipment here. So we've got here 384 bits on the memory bus, and then we've got 10 gigabytes of GDDR. I guess they don't want to say if it's 5X or 5. I guess that's out in the air. They don't want to sort of put their money right out there at the moment. But this is kind of like a curveball a little bit. What are they doing? First of all, we're hearing that it's non-5X. It's not 5X. Now we're hearing that it's, okay, it might be 5X, but now they're dropping it down to 320 bits, or even they're using 384 bit. I mean, if they use 384 bit, I think they're going to have to drop 2 of the memory modules down to 1 gigabyte from 2 gigabytes. So it's going to be really weird. But if they drop 64-bit memory controller off there, then they can still get away with just using 5 2 gigabyte memory flash banks instead of 6. So this is interesting what they're going to do. I mean, there's just so many rumors out there now where I'm just sort of at the stage where I'm like, just let it come out. Just let it be what it's going to be now, because there's so much stuff floating out there now. But I mean, 10 gigabytes, again, this would make sense as well. Looking at this kind of makes sense as well. They don't want something that's going to cut sales of Titan X2 drastically. They don't want that coming out. They don't want to just, completely obliterate their higher echelon card. But at the same time, they still want something that's in between. And so that's why I thought the non-X was the perfect solution, because it would put it in that segment where people would still buy it, but people would be like, oh, well, the 1080 is still a good buy, as opposed to 1080 Ti.
Exactly. I see where you're coming from, and your approach is extremely logical when looking at Nvidia's lineup of how they're going to market their cards in each segment their cards will fill. What I'm curious about is Vega's influence on this, given that how much VRAM Vega will have, actually how powerful it is as well.
Yeah.
And I think Nvidia will be sitting on their hands waiting till Vega's released, and then they'll release the 1080 Ti about a month later, and it will probably outdo it in the majority of ways. Although might not outdo it in every way. Maybe in memory wise, I would say Vega. AMD generally has had higher memory capacities on their graphics cards. If you look historically than Nvidia, they've just consistently had basically more than needed at the time of when it was released.
Well, then they had then they arguably had an inferior architecture too with the memory compression, right? I mean, Nvidia had memory compression, so that enabled them to use a smaller memory bus and whatnot. So, this is something that sort of I'm a little bit worried about. Is are they, on a 1080 Ti, would they nerf the memory bus that like the 660? As this article points out here, especially or like the 660 Ti, right? That thing. At 1080p it was fine, but if you even stepped it up to 1440p, it started to have a lot of problems. Or if you put, a load on the memory, it started having problems. And now, since the 1080 Ti is a 4K card, like we're going to make this, I'm going to put a bold statement out there. This card is pretty much a 4K gaming graphics card. You do not want any hindrance on the memory bus side of things at all. So the moment you start doing that, you're going to have a lot of problems. I don't think Nvidia will do that. That's why I thought it was logical to have, the full 384 bits there. I don't think they're going to cut that.
Yeah, and I imagine performance-wise, it won't be higher than the Titan X. And yeah, I think you're right. It'll be definitely for 4K gaming. I just started Gears of War 4 and with my GTX 1080, and I can tell you from playing it already and playing with the settings, I cannot get away with 4K on Ultra in Gears of War 4 with my G1 Gaming GTX 1080. I'm getting about an average of, I would say, it feels like about 40-ish. If I drop it down to high, I'm getting about 60 to 70-ish. So I think this will be the card that will be like 4K, ultra settings, filters maxed, go for it type thing. And I think Vega, the highest end Vega chip will also be trying to attain the same thing, a very high end, super high end type thing. But I imagine that will be the case. There'll be two Vega chips. I'm almost assured there'll be a 490 and like a 490X or something like that. They'll have something that needs to go against the 1070, and then they'll need something to go against the 1080/1080 Ti. And I would imagine AMD is going to deliver a cut down Vega to go against the 1070 and a full power Vega to go against the 1080.
They'll definitely have two SKUs on the Vega. They should have anyway. But I got one question with the 1080. Did you try statically shocking it? Just charge yourself up and give it a bit of a shock? That might have given you an FPS boost,
Jeez, I don't think so, man. I don't want to break my 1080.
You never know. Nowadays, everyone's doing everything. Apparently, if you've got gaming on the card, it gives you extra FPS, So I was thinking, well, hey, maybe just, run your socks on the carpet and give it a bit of a shock, and it might give you a bit more FPS,
Yeah, I mean, like this is the most powerful GPU I've ever owned, the most high-end one I've ever got for myself. So I don't think it would be ideal to do something like that. But no, I think that will be the case. But historically, that has been what Nvidia has done before. So I imagine there'll be lots of rumors to do with the 1080 Ti. They'll probably even ship them out to some places, but they'll make them sit on their shelves for a while until AMD have shown their hand, and then they'll release it and adjust their pricing accordingly. If it's actually tied with Vega in terms of performance, they'll probably just try undercut AMD, or they'll do some other sort of funny business.
Well, speaking of undercutting, they're definitely overcutting their stocks. I mean, wow, they had this massive surge. It was huge. So following their earnings, which was it like $2 billion or something, their stock prices just went over the roof. So, I guess this has got to do with, as I've said before, and in the past, I said this ages ago, Nvidia is going places. Why? Because their CEO loves the company. He's been the founder of Nvidia. Everything. This is his life. Like, when you got someone leading a company like that, they're going to want to grow this company to kingdom come. He wakes up, he eats, shits, and sleeps and breathes Nvidia. That's what Jen does. When you see a guy like that leading the helm, he's going to go in not just gaming graphics cards. Look at it. Deep learning, virtual reality, everything. He's getting his hands in everything. Cloud services, driverless cars. I mean, Nvidia, I still think, arguably, they have got a long way to go yet, especially if they're going to delve into new markets and use their technology to get gains out of that. So they're just in a position where they're just completely seeing past the 8-ball and the end game, and they're going a step further. And they're just saying, look, this is what we can use our performance for. Let's do it. And I think that's coming out now, and stock analysts are sort of like, oh, shit, we didn't see this coming. And, you know, these guys have a lot more potential, I think. I think these earnings are starting to untap the potential of what NVIDIA's cards can do, or even that matter, what GPU compute can do, you know? Exactly. So and they're starting to utilize that. They're starting to say, hey, there's this power out there that exists, and it can be utilized a lot more, or a lot faster, or a lot better than CPU power can. So why not use it? You know? So
exactly right. I mean, they're saying that a lot of the growth has come from Pascal, and that is very true. As far as a big jump up goes, Pascal has jumped up a lot, but I think what a lot of people in the community are missing is in the gaming laptops. I mean, Pascal-powered gaming laptops are really impressive compared to last generation's 970M and all that. So, I mean, they were saying, you know, with like the 1050 Ti gaming laptops, I mean, they're just taking off. They're so powerful. They'll, you know, beat a 970M. So, yeah, very impressive, and I think a lot of that is down to how good Pascal is, not only for their desktop discrete GPUs, but also for the gaming laptops, because it's made a big wave in the gaming laptop market, and a lot of those manufacturers are loving the fact that Pascal is so powerful in gaming laptops.
Well, yeah, breaking down the numbers, I mean, gaming revenue increased 63%. Holy moly. I mean, everything increased. I mean, their cloud platforms tripled.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could just see their auto revenue climbed 61%. They're going above the bar, man. They're just really nailing every market they touch, I guess. And then they've got that new deal with the Nintendo Switch. You know, how's that going to fare for them? So I think just, you know, the Green Goblin's really coming in and he's slaying everything, you know. I guess it's Spider-Man loses to the Green Goblin this time. I don't know. Maybe we've got to rewrite the Spider-Man storyline. You know, I don't know. Like, but on that note, you know, AMD Zen, I just wanted to, you know, people are like, well, what about AMD stocks? They've climbed tremendously. And yes, they have. But that's based off, I guess, more speculation, as opposed to this as being a reaction with the good news from Nvidia. You know, people are speculating that Zen's going to kick ass. It's going to really hit the market hard, shake things up. Their graphics cards as well, Polaris, you know, we're waiting on Vega, but people think that that's going to really shake the market. And yes, AMD have grown as well. But are they going into new markets like Nvidia is? Are they doing everything like Nvidia is? So, I mean, it remains to be seen how Nvidia, AMD's stock prices will go once Zen hits. I think they'll do well. I think they'll do really well. But at the same time, I'm a little bit cautious because, again, as I said before, it's based off speculation as opposed to reaction with Nvidia this time around. So we've actually got to see something out of
exactly.
Out of
AMD. I think that's. I really want. I mean, I've only ever run Intel CPUs. It's not because I'm biased. It's just because every time I've gone to upgrade at that time, Intel have had the best CPUs to go for. So, and I generally like to stick with high end, you know, like i7s.
Yeah.
But I always want AMD to do well, and so should you. Even if you're the biggest Intel fanboy imaginable, you want Zen to do well because it's going to bring down the price of Intel chips. If it's really starting to make Intel stop having like almost a monopoly, it's going to be good for you because they'll bring down, Intel will cut prices to make their CPUs more competitive. And then you, the consumer, will benefit. You'll be able to go out and buy your new Intel CPU for cheaper. So,
I mean, but with that argument,
really
where does it break down though? With that argument, when does it break down? Right, this is the thing that I've argued in the past about this. You know, where does it stop? Like, you know, Intel have the better chips out at the moment, and so for me, I'm going to be recommending my friends get Intel. You know, like I can say here and say, yeah, guys, we've got to support AMD on their CPUs. Go out and buy an FX 6300. But I wouldn't do that to my friends. You see what I mean? I can't. So at the same time, where does that sort of thing, okay, I don't know you, I don't care about you, go buy an FX 6300, keep AMD alive. That's not what I'm about around my channel. So that's kind of like
I'm not saying that.
It's just, I'm not saying that, but what do we get to? Where do we come to a ground with this? Oh, guys, we've got to support the competitor, even though they got the inferior product at the moment. Like especially on the GPU side of things, it's coming a different kettle of fish. I got to admit, the RX 480 and the RX 470 are really good cards, and especially with what Nvidia is doing with the software at the moment, like their GeForce crap experience. That thing's just terrible at the moment. You know, AMD's definitely going to see a lot more sales there, but on the CPU side of things, right, I just can't recommend an FX CPU to anyone at the moment. You know, it's just the way it is.
And for sure, you're 100% correct. And I would never recommend an inferior product. My thing is always what's best comes first, and then brand doesn't even really come into it so much for me. But the thing is, if Zen is going to be good for probably specific users, and in that case, I wouldn't use blanket statements to go out by AMD to support AMD. But say if Zen comes out and it's battling against Broadwell E, which their highest end Zen looks like it's going to be trying to hit, say, the 6900K, 6800K, and it's doing it at a significantly lower price, and you still get all the benefits of the chipset on the AM4 Plus motherboards, then I would say to a lot of people, hey, maybe consider this, look into that, and if the product is better, or at least on even ground, then I would tell people maybe to take a look into it. But that's the thing. Right now, we're just saying this is what could happen, but we really need to see. But I really hope that AMD don't overhype it. I really, really hope that. And I hope the community also doesn't overhype it and say, like, look, like, you were so stupid getting a Broadwell E CPU. I'm going to get a Zen for like a quarter of the price, and it's going to like blow your 6900K out of the water. And then it comes out and everyone gets disappointed. Let's keep it realistic. Let's go off what they're saying. Let's hope AMD does it the same. And let's hope Zen comes out and it does hit a lot of those markets, not just the very high end, which I think AMD really shouldn't be aiming at. I think they should try get the i5 crowd and go hit that market.
They should hit every market.
Money. They should hit every, but if there's one they hit the hardest, I would say it's that. Because they already dominate the very sort of, I wouldn't say very low end, but you know, the entry. The APU market is they've got that very much for themselves. So now they need something in the mid tier and the high tier to really set them off.
But the thing is, like with AMD, I got to say this straight up, and you know, I never sugarcoat anything, but let's just show that shirt up again. You know, let's just get it up there. Like, look, the bottom line is, if AMD's making the inferior product, I'm going to be recommending the better product. So if at the time, if Zen comes out and it's crap, of course I'm going to be buying, I'm going to be testing it. But if it comes out and it's crap, I'm just going to say, go buy Intel, because that's what I am. I just call it straight down the line. You know, and where do you draw, that's the thing, where do you draw on the line? If they're really close, and this is the only scenario where I would be recommending it over the other. If they were really close, I'd say, hey guys, go support the underdog, because we need them, and they're only a little bit behind. That's the only time I would support them. But if they're making crap products, then, you know, straight up, you know, if they're going to make crap products, I wouldn't support them, you know. And at the same time, you know, you're saying, you know, they've got to hit the mid round with the i5s and stuff. But historically, it's always been those enthusiast processors that have really made the companies a lot of bucks. You know, back when AMD was profitable, they were selling those $1,000 CPUs. I remember they were selling those flagship FX CPUs. They were making a lot of bucks. People were buying them over Intel's flagship. That's where AMD made their money, and they know this. So I would say if they want to be top dog, if they want to start being profitable again, they got to start making the better product. End of story. You know, not just not just the one that comes close to competing. They can't trail the market anymore. They have to lead. And that's what I've said. If we go back on all this, it's like a repeating, you know, broken record that just repeats itself. They need to get cash in for R&D. They need to start upping their game for R&D and coming back into the market and hitting hard. That's the only path for them. Or just sell the company to more capable hands. You know, sell it to Samsung. And that's what I've been all for that.
Might happen. Yeah, it could happen in the future. But I mean, judging by who designed Zen as well, it does bode well for them. But yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. But yeah, it'll be something to talk about more in the future when we have some more details to go off, because right now we have very, very little to go off with Zen.
That's true. That is true. And we got here on that note, we got Cannonlake. Like, you know, Kaby Lake hasn't even been released yet, and we're pumping up 300 series motherboards, Cannonlake CPUs. Now, the thing about Cannonlake is it's going to be the node shrink this time around. So, you know, I think from what we've heard, Kaby Lake's going to give us no IPC gains, basically. And Cannonlake, with the node shrink, is going to give us no gains again. So, like, yeah, it looks like we're looking at no gains for, like, another year and a half. So, yeah, if Zen, like, again, Zen has the perfect opportunity to come here and shake things up, like, really shake things up. So, you know, do we want to go into the details of Cannonlake? I mean, I don't even really want to bother. It's 10 nanometer, essentially the same SKUs as Kaby Lake, except it's going to have, you know, it's going to be on 10 nanometer. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not looking forward to it at all. It'll hit laptops before it hits desktops, of course, due to yields. Yeah.
It seems like everyone's skipping over Coffee Lake as well, which will be coming out in between Kaby Lake and Cannonlake.
Latte, chocolate, caramel fusion lake.
Yeah.
Come on, Intel. They're going to get more creative. I want to see coffee fusion, camera latte lake.
Well, it's like AMD with Radeon, I should say, naming all the GPUs after volcanic islands and that. So that's been going on. So eventually that'll just keep going and going. But yeah, no, it should be interesting. But they do really need to get. They've got to give more reason for people to upgrade, because right now, even with Kaby Lake, it's looking like it's going to be a hard sell for their marketing department.
Well, but as we heard from Wendell, though, the current microarchitecture is done. Like, that's what Wendell was saying last week. It's really good. Yeah. Got that insight on last week's episode. But do you want to get on to some good news?
Sure, man.
Yeah, Infinite Warfare sales are like down. Like half of that of Black Ops 3. Fantastic news. Like, you know, to be honest, I've been over the COD series. Like, you know, they just keep rehashing the same old crappy engine. And, you know, like, so and this time around, I just said, I'm not buying it this time. You know, I love my COD. I've been a big fan of COD. I love just jumping into a game, start fragging, team deathmatch, whatever. You're just jumping in there. And it's such a good pickup, and I've said this in the past, it's such a good pickup game. If you got 20 minutes to spare, you can just jump in, you're straight away in a game, you're just fragging. Like, it's really good. You know, what you can do in COD, I like the style, you know, the Twitch shooter, but it's just the same crap. They just keep rehashing it with this new broken engine, and it's like, please give us something entirely new. We're all waiting.
Yeah,
they've got the money to do it. They've got the money to do it. They just don't want to. It's all about profits. And this is a big, you know, I think this should be news to them to say, hey, we're sick of it. You know, we're sick of getting rehashed the same crap. You've got the money. If we're going to pay good money for this game, give us something good instead of giving us something that's just rehashed. Sure, the storyline might be amazing and whatnot. I don't really care. I'll wait till it comes down in price and then I'll check the story out, you know?
Yeah. Their pricing is ridiculous. They've just overpriced their games for so long.
Well, it's just they haven't done anything. They just keep reusing the same crappy engine.
And they're reusing it. Yeah, so I think I think another reason why is Battlefield 1 has done probably a lot better than a lot of people expected it to do. Especially me. I was really unsure of having a World War One game, given that World War One is sort of quite a difficult one to do, but it will make entertaining anyways, because in real life it was just trench warfare the whole time. So, but they've made it pretty good. And I played Battlefield 1 a decent bit, and I like it in some ways. I dislike it in others. I would say it has some of the best audio of a shooter game that I've ever played. Like the explosions, the gunshots, just everything. The atmosphere it creates is extremely good, and I think that's one part that people tend to overlook when they check it out. But it's a quite a good one. So I think that maybe that will make the next Call of Duty there'll be changes because of that, but I mean they might end up just doing the same thing over again.
It will probably at least the next year will probably be the same thing, unfortunately, because it takes a while to revamp the whole thing. But this should be news to them that, hey, if you want to start releasing these games, then start rehashing. I mean, I haven't got console sales up, which I'd say would be their best selling markets by far. I wonder how console sales are doing, but at least, like Black Ops 3 launch sales was 635,000. Time versus time, Infinite Warfare was for the same time frame, 328,000.
Yeah.
So you got to see how many less. And, the gaming market is a market that's actually growing. It's one of the few markets that is growing in PCs and, technology.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
This would be doing actually worse than that 48.4% drop. Because of because there's more people out there buying games, arguably. So yeah, good on you, COD series. Stop rehashing crap. I guess that's just the message that comes out of this. Just stop rehashing the crap. And
exactly.
Speaking of this, we got Dishonored 2, and it's running poorly on PC. So, they're using the old ID Tech 5 engine. Apparently that's got some of the reason to do with it, but at the same time, it's running a lot better on Nvidia graphics cards. A lot better.
Way better. Yeah. Way better.
So
on Nvidia. So that's
look at that 1050 Ti. It's almost matching like the RX 470, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. And what I'm looking at is the 480 versus the 1060. I mean,
that's actually not too bad. Like they are actually, the RX 480 is a good card. Like, look at it go, man. It's actually hammering those benchmarks, I think.
Oh, it's doing all right. I'm just meaning by comparison. I would have liked to see it maybe a little bit closer than that. But I mean, you see the high end ones, the 1070 and the 1080, just absolutely take off.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, and those cards are kind of like 1080p cards, kind of thing. Like. So you want your 470, look at 1080p versus 1050 Ti. It's sort of, it's ahead. Actually, the RX 470 is a nice card. And it's ahead by a comfortable margin. But we look at the RX 460 down there. Poor little guy. He's struggling. He's struggling.
Yeah, that's not even,
He's struggling. Poor little guy.
I don't think it's going to be that. But this will probably be something that'll be fixed with drivers in the future. On the AMD side, I would say particularly. There'll be good optimizations.
Yeah, but I mean, the game's poorly optimized in the sense that you can't even get HBAO on AMD cards, which in the past you have been able to. Sort of that feature has been enabled, but yeah, it's kind of like it makes me wonder, why they're releasing these games, and they're sort of buggy to begin with. Like that's why you have a beta testing phase, and if it's not ready for release, then just hold it back. Why? Release games like Mafia 3, for example, it just had such negative reviews when it came out. It's like, because this game just runs like complete ass, I can't recommend you buy it. And so just hold the game back for a few months. I mean, gaming nowadays is just so profit driven, and that's the problem. Rather than wanting to release a really polished product, which back in the day a lot of game developers did, they're now the game developers, unfortunately, are forced to push these games out due to the company, the overhead, saying you have to push this game out. We got profit, you got profit deadlines and whatnot. And so it's turning into a big business where you're getting, this is the result, you're just getting games that are sloppy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So do you want to mention the Mafia 3 update?
Yeah, so we got a Mafia 3 update, and that's not looking too good. It's still not looking good, but apparently there's some performance fixes. I haven't actually tried these, but if people have got Mafia 3 and they're like, it just ran like arse, so I haven't played it, then this update may improve that experience. So you might want to go back and update the game and see if it still works. There's also some big news on the Facebook thing as well. I forgot to bring that up. The Facebook launching their own games platform. Yeah, so do we want to go to Q&A? We'll go to Q&A now. We'll go to Q&A. We'll also Tech Showdown is holding a giveaway as well. So I'll put the link in the description once the video's up in the archive. And you head over there and there's a whole list of Steelseries gear to give away. Siberia 350 headset, Apex M500 keyboard, Rival 300 mouse, a Quick Dex mousepad as well. So, and there's also some goals in there, pretty cool goals. Kev, do you want to talk about the goals?
Yeah. So I just chucked it in chat for you guys. But so what's going to happen is it's because it involves obviously my channel, Brian's, and PlayTech TV. what we're doing is once we reach a certain amount of entries, you'll be getting different video rewards. So once we get over 1,000 entries, Greg from PlayTech TV will do a video where he's going to take an older CPU or GPU, whatever he can get his hands on, and then he's going to try blow that thing up, like make it smoke, make it catch fire. First, he's going to be trying to do it straight through software. When that doesn't work, which it probably won't, he'll do physical things like taking heat sinks off while going on torture tests and other things. So he's going to try blow that up for you guys. Then at 5,000 entries, once we get 5,000 people in, I will do a video where I'm going to shave my beard off, and I'll also probably get a like a number 2 haircut or something, so my hair's down to Brian levels.
That's it.
A Tech City cut. So yeah, I thought that would be funny, because a lot of you guys have been telling me I should do something like that. And then at 10,000 entries, Brian is going to be going out and doing a public unboxing. So once we get over that, Brian will be going out and doing an unboxing at a cafe or a mall or something with whatever product he has. So you guys really want to get it right over 10,000 entries, because that one's then you get to see all 3. And also we're going to be doing random spot prizes. So even if you enter, you might not win the big Steelseries with like full peripheral set, but you may win another spot prize as we go along, which will be quite cool, and we're going to be giving out a few of those.
So someone said for you to clean up the hipster look. Might be, hey, the Tech City cut might be the best way, So yeah, we'll go to Q&A. We'll head over to Q&A now, and I'll actually pull up this Facebook games platform thing as the last so Unity and Facebook team up to support game developers. Now, let's get something. I mean, this is just it's in the early works, but apparently this has been out for a while, so it's not really new use. It's just coming into effect now, I think. So it's been sort of hot around the tech community at the moment. What are we at here? So I'll try and paste this in. We get this up. So is there any Q&A as well? We'll bring in Q&A as well. Bring in the questions and we'll start answering. You watch the questions. I'll start talking about this. So essentially now with Facebook, right? What do we got with Facebook? They want to come in and do what Steam's doing. The problem is Facebook's renowned for just taking data mining and whatnot and taking it to another level. So I think me as an enthusiast, I am really weary about this, because I don't want to play on a Facebook freaking platform, because there'll just be ads popping up everywhere. They'll just be data mining me to crap. So really not negative. Before we even do any research and go into the topic, I'll be like, no thank you, Facebook. I mean, hey, Steam can take a little bit of information here and there, but me and Steam have already built up this trust based relationship, and it works.
So, just to add to one of the questions, someone said, is the giveaway worldwide? Yes, it is. So definitely all you guys you guys want to get on board. Someone also asked what keyboards we are using. I am using my old trusty Razer Black Widow from this is the old style one, which still features Cherry MX Blues, which are my favorite switch. If you aren't aware, I'm a big fan of Cherry MX switches, and the Blues are my favorite. How about you, Brian? What are you rocking?
Yeah, I got this. This is my travel keyboard, the Philco. I picked it up for $3. That's what I love about it. $3. Picked this thing up for $3. So that, and the only thing wrong with it, I think, is the tab key doesn't work. Yeah, the tab key. So it was like, never use the tab key except in Counter-Strike. And that was funny, because I only discovered that when I was playing CSGO on it, and I'm like trying to check the scoreboard, and I'm like, hey, this tab key doesn't work. So I guess someone else was a CSGO player, and you can change that. You just change the hotkey to something else. So I just changed it to caps lock. Absolutely fine. So, but at the moment, my main keyboard, I'm using the ASIO. I can't really pick it up because it's got I drilled a hole through the desk, and it's all cable managed and stuff. But it's the ASIO RGB. I really love the backplate and the way the keyboard is designed. It's got blue switches, of course. I'm a big blue fanboy. I've said it for a long time. Massive blue fanboy. It's got blues on it. It's an amazing keyboard, RGB backlit. And I was just shocked because it's just like when I first tried it, I just fell in love with the keyboard. Now, I want to try the top ray capacitors as well. I've tried them before and I love those switches as well. That's something I've got my eyes on at the moment, is the top ray capacitor. So have you tried them? I think it's the Cooler Master Nova features them.
I don't think so. No, I don't think I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got to go out and try them because they're amazing.
Yeah. I've been a bit behind really with all my sort of peripheral stuff. I'm just sort of getting, because it's just been GPU sort of crazy season. So I've been getting through all that, but no, I haven't quite yet. I'm just reading through.
So cross-platform, Facebook. I don't know, man. I'm not really looking forward to anything out of Facebook and gaming. I mean, if you play Bejeweled, it's fine. Like Bejeweled's fine. That was actually a pretty fun game you can pick up on a web browser. But when we come to serious game, like if they're talking serious gaming, I'm just going to stick with the platforms, And Origin, arguably, Origin's gotten really good over the last year, especially. So, Origin and Steam work pretty well for me. That's what I use at the moment. So, So also Greenhand Gaming as well. We've been talking a lot off cam and whatnot. Been Twitter and Skyping and stuff like that. We're going to make something happen around Christmas time. Should be around Christmas. So we're gonna make a collab. It's gonna be absolutely off the chain. It's gonna be, it's gonna be crazy. So looking forward to doing that with the viewers and the fans as well. So they've been requesting it for so damn long. It's like, you got to do a collab with Green Game. You got to do a collab. I was like, yeah, sure, because I've been speaking to him for a little bit, and he's really, really cool guy, really nice guy, and that's what I like to do. I like to work with nice people and awesome people. From here on in, especially after recent things that happened, I just want to work with awesome people, regardless of if their content's not as good as person X or whatnot. I don't really give a shit. It's like, I just want to work with good people now. End of story. So, and I would say the content's better. So,
yeah, man. We got a question here for you, Brian. How much do you bench?
Bench press, man. I got done with benching hard, like doing heavy weights, because now at the moment I do 30 kg, just basically barbell and 15k on one arm and stuff like that. I just do pretty much a lot more reps now because I don't want to tear tendons. It's the worst thing if you go so hard. You're just going to tear tendons, and it's a pain in the ass. You put too much strain on your body. And so now I've just been getting into the rhythm where I do cardio 2 times a week, and then I go and do, weights the other 2 days a week. So I'm doing gym 4 days a week, and I'm really loving it, So that's just my regimen at the moment. So,
yeah, no, that makes sense, man. I think that when I was gymming hard out before I was going to try out for the army, all I was doing was just endurance, man. Lower weight and just heaps of reps. So I just 5 kg dumbbells and just do heaps of curls and stuff like that. Hit that rowing machine hard out, do stuff like that. But I would see guys, man, at the gym. You'll get a kick out of this. Guys at the gym that would come in, go over to the bench, and then they just bench some huge amount, and then that would be it, man. Just bench about a few times, get up, man, and then we'll just walk straight out, look like a boss, giving everyone that look, and then they would just leave, where I would stay for a good hour or two and just do heaps of high reps, low weight type thing.
I can do 3 reps of 105.
Oh,
so,
wow.
It's all right. It's not the best, but again, it's just afterwards, it takes a toll, man. I want to keep my shoulders in good nick as well. So, so I'm just reading the comments. We got some comments. What have we got?
So someone said a quick question. Just one thing I just wanted to answer. Wait, you have to try out for the army. It was for the reserves. You have they have physical requirements. You have to be able to run a certain amount. You have to be able to things like that. You have to meet the requirements. That's
what someone said, can you knock me out with your GPUs? Come over here, we'll test the broken 7970. That'll be the first one. If that doesn't knock you out, we've got the Strix here, man. This thing's got some weight behind it, or the Archer Cooler, so we can test either or. I guess that's what the backplate was designed for now. Backplate was designed for knocking out your viewers who request you to knock them out on your stream. So come over and get a nice hefty backplate to the face.
We got a few others. Why did? What the hell kind of comment's that?
I say, what do I think about the giant Phobia radiator for 4x200mm fans for €60? I mean, if it works well, if the results are out there and it shows to make a difference and it's quiet and it's got everything you need, then yeah, go for it, eh? I mean, everything in Europe's a little bit more expensive otherwise than other places in the world, so €60 might be a good deal too. So, but honestly, I mean, like a lot of these radiators, like I've got a 360mm radiator as well, and it's overkill. I mean, you know, the best thing is to balance. If you got a water cooling setup, the best thing is to balance it. So, you know, have a good block, have a good pump, and maybe have a 240mm rad with 2 good fans on there. So, rank in CSGO at the moment, I'm the one above Silver Elite at the moment. I just got into that Nova. I think it's Nova or whatever. I don't know. I got the 1 star there. So I'm the level above Silver Elite now. So I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. Oh yeah. So
someone said a crunchy or creamy peanut butter. Crunchy for me. What about you, Brian?
Creamy, yeah. I'm a big fan of cream, man. Whenever I go get a coffee from a place, I'll be like, yeah, chuck cream on top.
No, the peanut butter. There's 2 types at the supermarket. You have the crunchy one, which is lots of like the rougher, and then you have the smooth one, which is like your butter or
I did the butter
margarine.
One. Yeah.
The butter one. The butter one.
Yeah. Creamy, bro. Creamy.
Creamy all the way. Yeah. Someone else said, Kevin, have you heard about the social network for gamers and tech enthusiasts called Gaming Tribe? Maybe you want to chuck that up.
Okay. I've heard of that.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I just haven't. Yeah, I mean, I've been asked for a while. It's just always been on the back of my mind, unfortunately. Actually, I'll take a look into that over the next week. We've got to talk about that, because I know a few people have asked me for a while, and I've kind of like been lazy and, you know, put that like, I'll check it out. And I'll check it out. I was like, I want to get onto building this computer. So that's the truth there. So I will check that out, Gaming Tribe. Yeah, I've actually, a lot of really nice people have asked me to join and stuff. So
no, that's cool. We got another one here is Zerg, Protoss, or Terran. So when I was playing StarCraft 2 heavily, I was a Diamond League Protoss player, and then I switched to Zerg, and then I got up to the top of Platinum, but I never got into Diamond as Zerg. But so that's how I did. Did you ever play a StarCraft 2 or StarCraft 1? Brian?
Yeah, I played both. Brood War, man, I play that religiously. I was like, went to WCG back in 2000, man, back before they did the they had the first one, So, I got flown over to Sydney and stuff. I was a Protoss and Terran. It depended on who my opponent was, because Terran, it's funny because in the original Brood War, Terran ended up being good against Protoss. I love that matchup, TVP. And I liked PVZ with Psystorm. And so I ended up playing those 2 races, and then StarCraft 2 came out, and it was just a different feel, man. It just felt different. The game felt different.
Felt so much better to me, though, man. I loved it.
Well, to me, I was more of a macro player, and in StarCraft 2, you make one mistake, you're gone. Like StarCraft 2 is a lot unforgiving as opposed to StarCraft Brood War. It's a lot more unforgiving. You make one mistake, you're gone. I think like StarCraft, the original Brood War, you make a mistake, whatever it is, you send a couple of vultures in, they die, you're still in the game. That's my biggest gripe with StarCraft 2 was it's just unforgiving, and you lose one battle, you've got to be on point the whole time, and it's way more micro intensive in my opinion than StarCraft Brood War ever was. So it's kind of like, I don't like that aspect of it, but at the same time, I'm the same. I play Terran or Protoss, depends. I'm not a big Zerg player. I love playing Protoss or Terran. And got also next tech pickup. Big cases. I actually picked up a few cases back here. I've got 2 Tesseract because I got to build a heap of PCs. So there will be a few more PC builds coming. Got this Panther stuff here too. A-Pace. It's actually pretty good stuff. 3 gigahertz memory, DDR4 memory. So got stuff like that. I got to review that. And other tech, like the next tech pickup that I really look forward to and want I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll keep that a secret. So
okay, that can be a secret for now. Someone said, is it worth spending an extra $60 for the i5-6500K over the 6400K? What do you think?
Say that again?
Is it worth spending the extra $60 for the i5-6500K over the 6400K? I would probably say
the 6400K. What CPU we're talking about?
The little i5s from.
There's only one K variant, isn't there?
Not the Ks. I mean, sorry, I said that wrong. Just the normal 6500.
Oh, I've got it now. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it wouldn't be. That's huge. If they're both i5s, that's a huge difference there. I wouldn't spend the extra $60 on that. I'd just save you money. So,
yeah, for sure. Someone also said, did you guys both go to university? Yeah, I went to Unitech, a bachelor's in engineering. So specializing in automotive. Well, how about you, Brian? Did you go to
went to my local Griffith University. It was funny because high school, man, I bombed out. Like, I just got into university under an IT degree. And I started doing programming, and I hated programming, man. It was like, because I love gaming. I was like, oh, I'm naturally going to love programming. And no, they're two completely different things. Like gaming and programming, man.
Yeah,
damn. So anyway, I found out this was the way you do it. I don't know nowadays if you can do it, but back when I was at university, you could take on a different course and get credits for that, and then just switch it over. Like, say for instance, so I was in an IT degree studying business, and then after 6 months, it just boosted my ratings up. And then I was just legitimately able to transfer my degree and then bring those courses that I previously did from the IT degree and get credit for them in my new degree.
Yep.
So I was just like, it was like, hey, high school didn't even matter. So I was actually, in hindsight, I was glad I did all the partying, rocked up to all the exams after all-nighters at high school, because it didn't matter in hindsight because I still got away with it. So, and then, in university, I ended up jumping up into the top 5% of students in the last year. So I was really stoked about that because, university is like, I want to be here. I want to study this. In high school, I'm studying all this crap that doesn't even pertain to my, what I want to do. So I ignored half of it. So, it's awesome, man. So, that's how you do uni, I guess. Just wing high school, and then when you get into university, try really hard. So that's my advice to you guys. So plus high school incorporates a lot of bias as well. Even university to a degree, right? Even university, if the teacher doesn't like in high school. Well, in high school, the teacher doesn't like you, you're going to get a bad score regardless. I had proof of this. My sister was a journalist. Like, she was working at a newspaper company. I was in year 12, and we were like shits and giggles because, like, for my English essay, like, I didn't try at all, and I still got a C. And then the next time I tried really hard, man, like, did my yards, I got like a C again. So my sister, I just said to my sister, Jay, this is a joke, can you write me up a whole article? She wrote it up, the whole thing, just head to toe, man, and I got a B-. And we just laughed. Like, I showed it to other people in the classroom, and they just laughed. They're like, dude, I can't even barely read this. It's like that good. Like, because all the words and stuff and all the terms. And it was like, my mum went into the teacher interviews and pulled her up on it, and she just admitted, like, she barely even read through it. She read the first paragraph and then just gave me a B-. So I was like, that's disgusting, because at least she fessed up. Otherwise, we were going to really take it.
Just in general, that's how it is. High school sort of, you need to take it somewhat seriously, but by comparison to uni, that's what you do. But uni, just the environment's better. Everyone takes it way more seriously. It's more fun. The people you meet there, usually great people that you deal with. There's that side of it. It's really good. So we'll take a few more questions, guys, and then we'll round out the show. Just whatever. Any other questions you guys have left? I got a question for you, Brian. What CPU or GPU are you most looking forward to that's coming out? Well, it should be coming out in the next 12 months from now. So is it Vega?
Easily Vega and Zen. I'm really looking forward to both those. Zen probably the most like I'm really looking forward to Zen out of anything because
me too,
new platform, completely new architecture from AMD is going to be exciting, right? That's something that everyone's looking out for. Myself, that's probably the most hyped thing I'm looking out for. Vega as well, the high-end AMD cards. I'm really looking forward to that too. Like really looking forward to it. So hopefully that comes out and it's really good. So they're the two. How about yourself?
I would say Zen. Probably I'm more curious to do with Zen, but in terms of what I'll actually test, it'll be Vega. It's probably the one I most I'll put it this way. I'm looking forward to Vega the most in terms of making a video review about Vega, but I'm looking forward to Zen the most just because I have much more curiosity to do with Zen, to do with how powerful it's going to be, everything else. So I think they're probably even in terms of what I'm most looking forward to. I would say probably what I'm least looking forward to out of all the main sort of hype things going on right now would be KB Lake is just, I know a few people out there are really excited for it. Honestly, I mean, it's still cool, and I'll check it out for sure on my channel, but are you really super psyched for it, or am I alone in this? Are you super psyched for it?
I'm not super psyched, but I'll be excited for any new tech, anything new, really.
Oh yeah, of course. Anything new.
To be honest, me just getting a new CPU in and overclocking it is exciting because it's a different CPU to the one that I previously overclocked. So that's in itself is fun. So people in the comments, 2500K and the 2600K, they're two of the best CPUs out there ever. Like those two CPUs were just phenomenal. 2500K was just the CPU when it came out, and still is an amazing CPU. People are getting them for 4.6, 4.8. They're just incredible CPUs. The Sandy Bridge overclockers, they're still relevant to this day too. So damn.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
But anyway, we'll start winding down the show, unless there's any pressing concerns from you guys in the comments. So,
one concern was where was Teddy, and he's right here, so you guys can chill out. There you go.
So.
Brian, we'll make this the last question. Brian, what's the difference between the E5450 and the X5460?
Oh, okay, yeah, they're the LGA 771s, right? They're the two variants. Now, one has a higher multiplier, that's the X5460, but it has a higher power rating. So people say that the E5450 is 80 watts. I think it's 80 watts versus 120 watts. TDP, right? Real world, I'd have to get the power meter out and test both these CPUs to see how much real world power consumption of it, or how much of a difference there is. But people say, because the E5450 has that lower power draw, it's much better for overclocking. That's valid, but it still has the lower multiplier, and you still have to, hammer up the motherboard's North Bridge more so to get a better overclock out of the E5450. So they're both good CPUs. If you've got a really powerful motherboard, I'd probably go with the E5450. You know what I mean? If you got a really, really powerful motherboard there with really good cooling on the North Bridge and whatnot, I'd probably go with the E5450. You can overclock it to, kingdom come. But you're still going to be bound by that silicon lottery. How high can those 4 cores go? The X5460 just has that higher multiplier. So for me personally, it's a lot easier to work with cheaper memory on the DDR2 side of things. So it's up to you guys. They're both good CPUs. I could recommend them, highly recommend both of them. I think you can pick them up, both of them, for like $20 at the moment. So that's the difference. One's got a little bit of a lower multiplier and it's got better power draw. And then the other's got the higher multiplier, but it, draws more power. So there you have it. So it's up to you which way you want to go. Me spending time with both, I don't know if I've got an E5450 yet, but I'd hazard a guess that, depends on your motherboard. If you've got a weak motherboard, I'd go with the X5460 because, you just drop it up a little bit, get the most out you can out of it. And, those caps and chokes and MOSFETs, they're generally designed to, put out a lot of power before they blow. So just depends. Yeah, but maybe the E5450 is the better pickup. I got to try that. I'm definitely going to get one in and maybe compare them because
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people would like that. So yeah, guys, that's going to run out the show. It seems like I've put the link there again in the live chat for you to enter the giveaway. Don't miss out, guys. You could get yourself a full set of peripherals, great Steelseries peripherals. These are all ones that I recommend as well. We're not giving you bad stuff. This is good stuff that you're going to be getting. So you're definitely going to want to enter in there because, I mean, why not, man? I mean, you know, why wouldn't you? It doesn't cost you anything. You might get yourself a full set of peripherals. So that works out pretty nicely.
Yeah. All right, guys.
So yeah.
And thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. And really cool stream. Awesome. And we'll see you guys next week. And hopefully there'll be a special guest on, maybe. I'll see a special guest. We'll chat. As it comes, we'll check it out and get it going. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. And we'll catch you in the next one.
See you guys.